Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Ice. So glad you're here. Looking forward to starting the weekly episode. I believe this is episode 3. Let's get into our agenda. So, number 1, we're going to talk about elite capture. Number 2, what is an iron triangle in U.S. politics? Number 3, 30 House Democrats have announced their retirement. Number 4, the People's Convoy. Number 5, Mark Cuban's plan to improve the pharmaceutical industry. And number 6, Edward Dowd, a Blackhawk exec. So I'm Ice Enterprises. Let's get started with the show.
Open up the champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it up. Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in. Make yourself at my home, tell me where you been. Pour yourself something cold, baby, cheers to this. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house. Play that.
Thank you very much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. So glad you're here. If you get a chance, like, subscribe, and share. A little bit about myself. If you're a new time, if this is your first time here, my name is Ice. I've been doing this for about 3 plus years. I'm a web developer. I'm an IT specialist. I guess I'm a videographer. I found a newfound passion in videography. I'm also a patriot. Definitely a hardcore patriot. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Before we get into the topics today, I want to tell you a little story that happened to me yesterday, I believe. So I had a job interview for a pretty decent job. It's outside of the city. I live in the St. Louis city limits, which is blue. It's been running a mask mandate. When it's forced their police, well, actually their city municipal employees to vaccinate. This was right before the President Biden's OSHA order, which eventually got shot down by the Supreme Court, as you guys know. And I was out picketing, fighting it. Go check on my other videos if you haven't seen them. But anyway, so this was outside of the city, about maybe 20 minutes into West County, or we call it here in St. Louis. Now, mind you, most of the mask mandates are disappearing. Basically, the city and parts of the county, the St. Louis County, were the only ones enforcing it. I mean, I can travel 30 minutes south and hit go to like Jefferson County is what they call it, and they never even enforced a mask mandate. I mean, they did initially for like the first 2-3 months, but so you can see the logic, behind all this. I'm being sarcastic. Anyway, so I walk in. Everybody's wearing a mask, and I'm not wearing a mask, of course. I've refused to wear a mask since I've been here, unless it's been absolutely necessary. Most of the time, if it's a medical facility like the hospital or anything like that, I don't mind. But I've been kicked out of like 30 or 40 different places, since I've been here, and I'm basically the only one in the city of St. Louis that just refuses not to. Anyway, so I'm filling out some forms right before the interview, and I'm like, what the heck is all these forms? One of the forms was like, an acknowledgement of the OSHA COVID-19 policy, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This was completely shut down by the Supreme Court. Shout out to Clarence Thomas. But I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I'm still forming it. I really wanted to get the interview started, because the job was a decent job. In the middle of me filling out the form, an employee walks in and asked me to put on a mask. And I'm like, oh, you guys are still doing that? And she's like, yeah, there's a lot of people coming in and out. And I'm like, okay. So I grabbed the mask, and I don't know. I was shocked. I paused for about like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? I was like, you know what? Fuck this. So I grabbed up the rest of the paperwork, and I just walked out. I didn't say nothing. Just grabbed the paperwork and walked out. Got in my car and left. Got back to my place. Called that particular principality city hall and asked them what their mask mandates were, and they never even had one. I mean, they did initially for the first 2 months, but after that, they weren't requiring any type of private establishment to enforce any type of mask policy. So this company just arbitrarily took it upon themselves to make all their patrons wear a mask, and obviously it's coercion. It's taking somebody's need for employment and using that against them to basically enforce a ridiculous mask policy. So, mind you, the whole city, the whole principality is not enforcing it. People are walking around not wearing masks. And the science is all out. It did nothing to slow the spread. The virus is smaller than the fabric fiber itself. So as you're breathing, it's going in and out. It's not slowing it down at all. They've admitted it. It just causes nothing but a bacterial infection. Nobody even wears it properly. They wear it, they touch it throughout the whole day. They're touching surfaces, all this, that, and then they're touching the mask. It does more harm than good. So I wrote them an email, explained to them that, their prerequisite paperwork is extremely illegal, intrusive, and coercive. So thought you'd be interested in that little story. Let's talk about elite. What is elite capture? Have you guys heard of elite capture? If you haven't, look it up. It's important for our patriot movement, especially in fighting. Well, for fighting corruption too, with this whole COVID, pandemic exercise that they ran on us. Another thing I want you to look up is regulatory capture. We talked about that in a previous episode. If you get a chance, check out defundtheswampnow.com. This is a kind of like a news website, kind of like similar to Gateway Pundit. Really interesting. He does all kinds of articles. He does an article on elite capture. He's got Wikipedia, elite capture explained, China's elite capture of Canada, elite capture, the Chinese regime elites capture in Canada, and so forth and so on. Really informative. Get a chance, check that out. This is Wikipedia's version. It's got examples. I read this earlier this week. It's really good. Alternative solutions. I thought this was interesting because, as you know, I created the States Party, a new political party, which we'll get back. I got real deep into that on season 4, which was all last year. If you get a chance, check it out. It talks about the fact that, okay, so you know how we discuss a lot about the advantages of decentralization, especially our form of alternative media that covers news events. It's been basically countering the mainstream media's narrative. Well, the reason it's so effective is because it's decentralized, right? But conversely, it talks about the disadvantages of decentralized, and it specifically says that you wouldn't think that. It's real interesting. It says that elite capture can actually be more effective on the smaller forms of government, like your local and state possibly. As you know, we have 3: local, state, federal. But any type, Department of Education, school boards, schools, local AGs, stuff like that. So check that out. That comes from Wikipedia. Also, one thing, interesting, cool thing that I discovered, I think you guys should check out, is what they call Iron Triangle. Now, Iron Triangle, U.S. politics. If you check out this graph here, that's really good. So it has interest group, Congress, and bureaucracy. So we're going to put this particular diagram, I think is very, very informative, into our investigation, which we're going to drop that. As you know, we started a new investigation into the whole pandemic. Now, we did one on mainstream media in 2020. Get a chance, check those out. They're real informative. We're trying to track down how mainstream media was getting their numbers, right? Because that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's just all these numbers constantly, these cases. So we were trying to track down the root source. And we got a pretty good headway. We were visited by the FBI. Now, I don't know if that was a cooling effect, but towards the end, we got a knock on the door by the FBI. Of course, we have an audio record of that conversation, and we got backups on that. Turns out it was just a big misunderstanding. They didn't know I was a journalist, but it was all good. Anyway, so we got that. Iron Triangle. Very interesting. Check that out. Now, I think this is what we need to be teaching in schools. It's this type of stuff like elite capture, regulatory capture, Iron Triangle. This is like what we've witnessed and experienced over the last 6 years since Trump has been elected, and how that we've gone through all these different like as far as peaceful protests, how to do it correctly. All that should be taught in schools, and you notice it's not. And the biggest thing is like corruption, like the Iron Triangle, regulatory capture. That stuff's not taught, and it needs to be taught. So I think that parents, if you're out there and if you're hearing this, you really should start pushing on having this type of information put into the curriculum. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about. Oh, this is interesting. Blowout. This comes from the Election Central. Blowout. Now, 30 House Dems announced retirement ahead of 2022 midterms. So the midterms are shaping up to be wonderfully pleasant. Now, we're making it. It seems like the whole COVID pandemic front from the globalists. It seems like there's been a collapse all along the front, and we have they're in what they call a rout. So we're in a position now to where we can actually possibly, see what possibilities we have with prosecution. That's why ICE Enterprises is putting the whole case together as we speak right now. We were never in a position before, but now we are. So we can flirt with it. We can probe a little bit and see where it goes. We have the opportunity. Why not? We should not waste it. And we're going to see how it goes. Now, we did get a little bit setback with up in Canada and Trudeau, with him clearing out the things, but not really though, because he's gone. I mean, you can bet your bottom boots his butt is gone in the next election. Speaking of which, let me write that down. I need to write that down. We need to see when the next general election is in Canada for Trudeau. So I'm writing that down right now. General election, Canada, Trudeau, EAU. But when we secure this, before prosecutions or anything like that goes down, we're going to have to secure the midterms. So we're going to see what plays out. Yeah. Okay. So we got the People's Convoy. That's shaping up to be. So we're coming in waves now. We're coming in waves. I heard Canada is already forming up other convoys. So you knock one convoy down, one keeps coming. You knock that one down, another one keeps coming. You're not going to stop us. You're not going to stop the people. We own everything. You work for us, okay? We pay the taxes. You work for us. It's just that simple. Okay, it's really just that simple. And what is another thing that's simple is you're not going to break the Constitution. That's the highest law of the land. Period. So if you haven't heard, there's the People's Convoy, thepeoplesconvoy.org, thepeoplesconvoy.org. They're supposed to head out on the 23rd. One thing I really like about it is that their main demand is time to end the declaration of national emergency concerning the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I totally agree with this. It's still in effect. Are you serious? For one, it never required an emergency. Well, I take that back. Okay, initially, I agree. But it should have been dropped after 6 months. The only reason it didn't, because it became political. Because of this, the swamp and the entrenched deep state, which is a special interest, BlackRock, the banking industry, all this, the military-industrial, complex, the media complex. They wanted him bad so much, or they wanted him out so bad because he was an outsider, that everything was turned into politics. So if you would have dropped the emergency, after 6 months, they would have used that against him. Of course, it was election year, and of course, they used the pandemic to steal the election. So I totally support that. I think we're gonna look into we're gonna probably drop like a little short documentary, a quick little doc about what is the national emergency, what are the powers behind that, how we're going to look for ways to maybe how can we change this as a nation as far as legislation, how can we tweak it, you know what I mean? It looks like that there's already 1,000 U.S. truckers announced that they're already committed. Now I haven't been able to find the exact route. I know that Ted Nugent has announced he's going to be joining the protest. That's really good. Most likely, there's two different ways they can go. They can, because they're coming out of Barstow, California. They can take the 15 north and catch the 70, which would go through St. Louis. And if they do, we'll be on the ground covering it. Or they can take the 40. If they take I'm pretty sure they're going to take the 40 because that goes through Texas, and then of course InfoWars will be able to cover it easier. And also the 40 goes through almost all red states right up until you get to Washington D.C. So that's exciting. That's good. Awesome. Billionaire Mark Cuban has launched a war on Big Pharma. This is good. I saw a report. Somebody did a report on it, and it's interesting. His idea. I think he wants to. I can't remember. Use some kind of decentralized website or something to lower the cost of pharmaceuticals or something like that. This is good. This will tie into if we can put Big Pharma out of business. Because, of course, if you haven't heard, their stocks are tanking right now. And, whistleblowers are coming out. Here's my thing. If you whistleblow, you'll get guaranteed immunity. No pun intended. So, like I said, I'm gonna repeat. If you decide to whistleblow and get on the and get out of this, you will get 1% immunity. No pun intended. If you whistleblow, you will get 100% immunity. No pun intended. Moving on. We got another whistleblower. So they're all coming out. So now we have our connection. We got Edward Dowd, an executive at BlackRock, tells Steve Bannon global debt bubble at its peak. We're at the end. That came on the 2nd, 2/2/2/2/2. So February 2nd, we got another 2/2 coming up. February 22nd. But he was just recently on InfoWars. He talks about BlackRock's involvement with the COVID-19. Also, we got there was another report on InfoWars that connects Big Pharma to the fourth industrial revolution. So there's a study from La Quinta Columna. So supposedly that these vaccines have been identified in a lab and put in a lab and back engineered. They've been identified possible microtechnology and artificial patterns in Pfizer's vaccine using optical microscopy. So that's our connection right there. So we're all building the connections. I mean, we got Canada. We got Canada's. Hold on, let me get that out. Took some notes on that. Canada's finance minister, right, is a co. Oh, what is that? I don't know what I put. Co-board member or something on Davos. That's Trudeau's connection. That's Canada's connection on their obsession with the vaccine. We got studies coming out that the vaccine has nanotechnology into it. Of course, it all goes back to the World Economic Forum with the fourth industrial revolution. So in big pharma, we got big pharma connection. It's all connected. We got BlackRock, we got Pfizer, we got World Economic Forum, we got Davos, and they're all connected. And we got the FDA. We had a recent what's his name? Christopher Cole, I believe. What's his face? Project Veritas broke that. So we're putting it all together, ladies and gentlemen. Putting it all together. So that's going to be it. We're going to wrap it up. My name is Ice. I love you guys. Stay in the fight. Keep it up. Don't back down. Patriots, all out there. Look forward to all the latest events coming up. What else? Look for we're gonna have an episode. Hopefully. Uploaded tomorrow. So I think that's gonna be it. All right, guys. Take care.